iZotope has released the OZONE 8 a few weeks ago. And on the same day I posted my first impressions video, iZotope reached out to me and gave me a reviewer's license for the OZONE 8. So here I am making a review. The OZONE 8 isn't the first OZONE I'm using. I'm actually using the OZONE 5 on my main setup. I'm not using it that much anymore because most of it's already replaced by analog equipment or FEP filters. As most of you know, I wasn't a big fan of the new features in the OZONE 7. More about that in my snake oil review over here. However, the OZONE 8 does have a lot of new features I am very excited about. So let's dive into them. And the first new feature in the OZONE is a spectral shaper, which isn't a world first. I'm seeing a lot of manufacturers making spectral shapers right now. I've also reviewed a few of them. I'm not really interested in spectral shapers, to be honest, because as soon as you need a tool like a spectral shaper, it's more handy to go back to your mix or even back to your sound designing, because there is something wrong. There is something wrong somewhere else if you need a spectral shaper. If you still want to use it, let's run through it quickly. The spectral shaper in the OZONE is pretty basic, just as every other spectral shaper. I have to say it's a bandpass spectral shaper, so it's not over the whole spectrum. We can make it over the whole spectrum by making the band like fully wide. I don't know why you should do this. I picked a track, Sandstorm by the Root, and as most people know, there's a guitar in there that's really, it has some stuff in there. And let's see if we can filter this out. We can adjust the band, of course. We've got the threshold, we've got attack release, and something called a tone, which I can only demo you by letting you hear it, because I don't know what it exactly does. So let's see if we can filter out that guitar thing. That one. So this is the normal track. Let me show you what the tone control does. I'm not a big fan of those spectral notes. So I hope you guys understand better what that tone button does than I do. If I may describe it, it's or like some phase shifting or the Q factor of the shaping it does. IRC, which stands for Intelligence Release Control, and the release is what makes a limiter great or very, very bad. So every self-respecting limiter, does a limiter have self-respect? Well, they do have a secret algorithm for their release control, and so does OZONE. And version 4, in my ears, isn't a better or improved version, it's a different version. And this is where a lot of people make mistakes, because version 4 doesn't mean that it's also the best one. It's the latest one, but not the best one. And that's also the reason why they've included all the versions in the plugin, because if it would be the best one, they wouldn't include the other ones. So there is a version, or as I call it, a color for every track. The cool thing is they've described the color of it, and next to it, if you hold your mouse on it, you can see it. It's just. So to be honest, when I was using the OZONE, I've actually always used the version 1, because that one just had the fattest sound in it. In the bottom right corner of the OZONE is a button called Codec, and I'm not sure if this is a new feature, but I still wanted to show it to you, because the Codec feature enables you to listen to your track through MP3 or AAC at different bit rates. And the part I really like about that feature is the ability to solo the artifacts, so you can really hear what is being added or being subtracted from the track. Okay, so this is the big one, the track assistant, which is a completely new thing in the OZONE, and I think is pretty revolutionary. And to be honest, automatic track mastering isn't new to the world. I've already reviewed the Lander and Cloud Bounce thing, and those were really one button mastering things. So you click master and they will master it for you. And the problem I had with those type of artificial intelligence mastering things was that if everybody would master with that algorithm, everything will start to sound generic. And that's something that the guys from iZotope understood while they implemented their Studio Assistant feature. It is automatic mastering, but it works in a way as a Studio Assistant works. But let me describe what a Studio Assistant would do. Well, the real engineer would still be drinking his coffee and will be, starting his day and talking with a lot of people, like gezellige dingen, as we say in Holland. The Studio Assistant would be in the studio preparing everything for the main engineer. And one of the tasks some Studio Assistants did was already presetting the EQ settings and compressor settings to something in the neighborhood of what it should be. So that as soon as the real engineer would start, that he would already be roughly in the direction he wants to be. Which is a big time saver for the real big cigar smoking pimp engineer. But the thing is, with humans, they make mistakes and they have a different taste and all that kind of stuff that we don't want to deal with anymore nowadays. And that's where the Studio Assistant feature from OZONE is aimed at. It's aimed at presetting the buttons, and it's also faster than a human because it can make a starting position before you can make a cup of coffee. As I shall now demonstrate with a scientific test. Alright, all jokes aside, let me show you what the track assistant actually does. To be honest, I'm using a royalty-free track that is already mastered. It's already hard to get royalty-free tracks. It's even more difficult to get a unmastered royalty-free track because they simply, I think they don't exist even. So this is just for demonstration, and I hope you guys can understand what's going on. So if you click on Master Assistant, you will get a choice of 3 different targets. So streaming, and what streaming does is it will master it for streaming, so a lot less loud. You can configure it in the options menu. It says it also on the screen. CD, we can say low, medium or high, or reference. And with reference, it listens to a reference track. More on that later. Let's first do streaming. What you need to do is just press streaming, press next, and then just press play. And as you can see right now, it has configured an EQ, a dynamic EQ and a maximizer. There's also a dynamics in here, but this one is not active. And what we can do with these settings, these are the basic settings. So it's already did the first things like a bit more low and that kind of stuff. And from here, we can work out what we exactly want and what type of fingerprint we wanted to give. Let me also show you what it does when I select CD high intensity, because it will get loud then. And also we're in the direction, we still got some annoying things going on the low, on the sub lows, but still, this is where we could start. There's one thing I don't like about the Master Assistant, and that is, well, this was a dance track which goes on and on and on and on forever. But while trying out the OZONE, I've used it on a very dynamic track which started very small and ended very big. You need to play the most intense part for the track assistant to learn its trick on. But what was annoying for me was that it didn't take the time to listen to the whole track. If the guys from iZotope could improve something about it, then I would say make it also possible to listen to the whole track. Because sometimes the arrangement is so much different that you need to keep that in mind while making the settings. You guys from iZotope are watching, I hope. Make it. Do it. So another cool feature, which also isn't a world first, but it's pretty cool that's in the plugin, is track referencing. And you can use the references track you've imported in the plugin for several different features. So the first one is refreshing your own ear. So you can press the reference button and you will hear the reference track directly. And the second one is you can use it as an input for the track assistant. So you can say, well, I want it to sound like roughly like this, and then the track assistant will do most of the work for you. Let me quickly show you this. I can just press add reference and add a track to it. It quickly analyzes the reference like this, and it also splits it up in a few parts. So I can say, well, let's loop the D part. And now while I'm adjusting a few settings and stuff, and I want to have like fresh ears, I can just press the reference and then directly hear, oh, maybe there's a bit too much high in my master. Yeah, there is. For instance, and then drag this thing down or drag this thing down. Like that. The other thing it can do is being a target for the master assistant, as I'm showing you right now. So the thing where this can come in handy is when you're doing an album, for instance, or with those annoying clients who all want to sound like Hardwell or Afrojack or I don't care who. So the last cool feature of the OZONE 8, or well, actually the O8 and 2 bundle, is the tonal balance control. And this is a pretty cool thing, because the tonal balance control is like an analyzer, but it already has a shape over it on where you should be if you're making a certain type of music. And the cool thing about the tonal balance control is that it can directly communicate with the OZONE. So you can control the OZONE from the tonal balance control. And you can also control the neutron, but more on the neutron a bit later in this video, from the tonal balance control. So you've got all the EQing and tonal controls in one plugin, and you can directly see where you're at. Pretty handy. So this is the tonal balance control. And as I press play, it shows me exactly where my frequency is. So what it shows here is the sweet spot I should be in for every band. And it shows me right now that I'm not having enough low end. So I should possibly put a bit more low into it. And what I can do is I can pick the EQ from the OZONE and control it directly from here, which is pretty cool. I can also set it to fine if I want to be a bit more precise on what's going on. But to be honest, that broad feature is actually much better overviewable. It works, they've thought it out pretty good. Also a cool thing is I can not only control the OZONE, but I can also control the neutron from this. So I have all the tonal balance control in one screen. Alright, so that's it for the OZONE 8 review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned to this channel for a review of the Neutron 2, because I've also got a review license for the Neutron 2 and I will be reviewing it soon. But it's a lot of work, of course, as always. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, check out my other videos. I've linked them over here. And if you really enjoyed this channel and want early access to my videos, or want to have a small look behind the scenes, check out my Patreon campaign over here, because that's where you can get that kind of cool stuff. For now, I want to thank you a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, I don't know. For now, bye bye.